was a lot. I was NYPD officers and public safety officers just brutalizing a lot of my classmates, brutalizing a lot of my peers with seeming impunity. It was very scary. I think the energy after last night, the dynamic has shifted.
My thoughts are that if you're going to break school policy, you will pay the consequences. It's that simple. What's happening in Gaza is not great. I don't have a solution. I don't think it's very easy to solve, but the way you're going about it, not so bueno.
I think even last year, the crowds were much larger at these protests because I think it was more of a trend at that point. And I think right now, people are ready to have their full education, and they don't really want to associate with what's been going on campus. And I think that even whether or not you're Jewish, whether or not you understand what's going on in the conflict at all, this is not what we want to be doing during our school, and like this is 4 years of our lives that we don't want taken away. I think what Trump's administration has been doing has made a little bit of the international community more uncomfortable, so they're definitely not around as much. And I know that even people that were not involved in the protest just didn't want to be in the library at all because they were afraid that their ID would be taken. But otherwise, I think the university is doing as much as they can all around.
Okay. I think it was quite commendable and honorable of them. It was quite chaotic. Some kids were getting shoved on the ground and everything. Of course, there's always a better way to do things. But the truth is that, like, we're trying to get a reaction out of Colombia, and it's very easy to criticize 19-year-old kids on how they protest, but then you won't criticize how Colombia has been bending over backwards for Trump and then deporting all students. Like, if you're going to criticize the manner the students will, and I'll go with that argument. I understand it. Well, then criticize also how Colombia's been acting and how they've been acting with Trump, and and how they've been invested in the Israel, the Palestinian genocide. So I mean, if you want to have that argument, I'm fine. But if you just want to sit here and criticize 19-year-olds because they stormed the library to fight for their freedom, I think that's an irrelevant question.
I think this is a scary time. I think this is a really scary time. I also think it's a very hopeful time, and that there's a lot of people out there that really want to be contributing to the greater good in society. I think it's very saddening to see federal grants being taken away from universities on the standpoint of what I think is power being misused, and it's really unfortunate. I don't think that anyone's a bad person in that, whether it's one individual making these decisions or an administration making these decisions. But I think it's a scary time to be a student. I think it's a scary time to be an American, but I also think it's a very hopeful time, and that this is a time where we can really invoke a lot of change for the better if we take the opportunity to try to find some common ground with one another.
I think people do people, if you know someone kind of as a friend, like I talk to my friends about it, especially if there are like protests and stuff and marches, you kind of look at it and go, something's going on. But yeah, there isn't like a ton of discourse just kind of openly.
For so long, like at Columbia this year and everywhere, it's been so suppressed, and there's just a collective understanding now on campus that we don't talk about certain things because of fears of getting detained or questioned by the authorities. So it was very scary last night because it was, I think, the university really revealing themselves, and that they, from my perspective at least, and from the perspective of many of my peers, that they really don't have our interests at heart. And I think that was seen through the viciousness that a lot of the public safety officers and NYPD had. It was not great to experience, yeah.
They're going against every value that they preach. I mean, they teach us these beautiful values, and the reason why I came here, freedom and equality and justice. They're bending over backwards to basically appease a dictator, while Harvard is fighting back. They're not even trying to fight back. I think, first of all, I don't think the message itself is anti-Semitic, and you will see in any protest that there's always a small fraction of people that will take it too far. If we take, for example, the BLM movement, a very small fragment of them started looting stores and disrupting the peace. And it's a very easy tactic to conflate a small number of population to the whole protesting movement and just to disrupt the message. Was there some isolated incidents of anti-Semitism? I'm sure there was, and I completely disagree with it. I love the Jewish people, And I think it's a very easy argument to say that if you don't agree with the Israeli, the way their policy towards Palestine, that you're anti-Semitic. I think it's the other way around. I mean, I love the Jewish culture. I have a lot of Jewish friends. I have a lot of Jewish friends that don't support what Israel is doing. I'm not anti-Semitic if I disagree with the government and their position.